Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Victor, and in this video I'm gonna build a WordPress custom form. I'm actually gonna build a plugin which is gonna generate a shortcode, and this shortcode is gonna display this form. I also integrate reCAPTCHA version 3 here to secure this form against spam, and so just to show you how this works, for example, I'm gonna enter an email here, my name, enter a message, click send email. This is gonna output a notification, thank you for contacting us. But now, for example, if I resubmit this form and I send all data to the server, I'm gonna get reCAPTCHA error, and the form on the server won't process the data from the form. So this is a reCAPTCHA security for measurement here, just to show you that reCAPTCHA works. Alright, so I'm gonna write everything from scratch in case you want to follow along with me. There is also gonna be a link in the description from where you can grab the source code. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so if I refresh this page now, I'm gonna see just a shortcode, which is viCode contact form. I just paused the video and I removed the plugin here, so under my plugins I don't have anything. This is the contact page, and I'm gonna have this shortcode here. So let me actually just gonna click edit, and I'll remove this block, and I'll just update, and I'll just leave it like this. So this page is blank. Now just wanted to mention that I'm using XAMPP. Alright, so I'm working on localhost. I have XAMPP here, PHP Apache I installed, WordPress is installed. I'm using the storefront theme. I have a child theme here, but I'm not gonna touch this theme. I'm just gonna build a plugin. So what I did is, under my WordPress content folder, so this is htdocs, this is the main servers folder. It's like public HTML maybe on your server, I don't know. But under WordPress content and then plugins, I created a folder which is contact, and this is the folder is empty now. So I opened my VS Code in this folder, and here I'm gonna create a file, and the first file is going to be form.php. And I'm also gonna have another file which is the style.css. I'm gonna add some styling to the form. Okay, so first thing I want to do here is add the plugin comment. So I have to open the PHP tag here and add this comments here, which is plugin name, contact form plugin. This is very important because WordPress reads this plugin, and this is how WordPress knows which file is the main file from our plugin folder. It knows the description, grabs the description, the plugin URL, author, and the version. Alright, so I'm just gonna save it like this, and I'm gonna go back to my website, and I will refresh this install plugins page, and I'm gonna see this plugin here. It doesn't do anything. I can click activate, but it's not gonna do anything for now because I don't have any functionality in it yet. So I'm gonna start with importing the CSS file in my plugin, because I need to call it, and to do that I'm gonna use an action. I will add a new action to the WordPress inquiry scripts. So I'm gonna have a function callback for style, no parameters. And here I'm gonna use the WordPress register style hook. So I'll have WP underscore register underscore style, and the first parameter is gonna be viCode. This is the handle, and then plugin, and then this is the style URL. This is where the style is. So I'm gonna have plugin URL underscore URL, and here I'm gonna have slash style dot CSS, and there's gonna be another parameters here, which is underscore underscore file underscore underscore comma false, and then the file version, so I'll put 1.0.0, and the media is gonna be all, like this. So if you don't know what this is, actually you can just let's just search in Google to see what this does. So we go to developers.wordpress.org. This is your best friend whenever you are customize your WordPress website. So here's what we have. We have 5 handlers here, 5 parameters. The first one is the handle, as I already said, the name of your style sheet, which needs to be unique, and then the source, that's where the file is. So this is the handler, this is where the file is. That's how we detect the plugin URL and then the file. And then we have style sheet dependencies. This is an optional, so I just put false. We don't have any dependencies. Dependencies usually is we have other CSS file or JavaScript files that depend on each other. So this is where we add the dependencies, and as already said, this is the version you see here, and then the media. So different types of media. I'm gonna leave it for all. All right, and then below here I'm gonna have to. Now we register it, now we have to inquery the style. So I'm gonna use the WP underscore ENQUEUE underscore style. And here I'm gonna put this handler, which is bytecode, like this. Just make sure they match. Okay, and above this function, I'm gonna have to add new action. And the hook for this action is going to be WP inquiry scripts, so WP underscore ENQUEUE underscore scripts. And the second parameter, of course, is the function name. And I'll save it. So if I go back, just make sure we don't have any errors. So there we go. We have one on the 12th saying quality undefined function plugin URL. Plugin needs to be as plugins. Sorry about that, guys. That's a misspelling. All right, so it's working fine. Now if I press Ctrl U, I'm on Windows. So if I press Ctrl U in Google Chrome and I search for style.css, I'm supposed to find this file, which is here. Localhost WordPress content plugins contact. This is my plugins folder, and then I see this file here, which is 1.0.0. that's the version. So if I click on it, it's empty now because I don't have any, I don't have anything in my CSS file. So I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna keep going. So what I want to do now is I want to generate a shortcode which is gonna output a form wherever I'm gonna use that shortcode. So to generate a shortcode in WordPress, I'm gonna use a function. I'm gonna use just functions in this example. I'm gonna try to make it as simple as possible for you guys, but you can customize, you can add objects, classes here. So I'm gonna create a function now, and I'm gonna call it bytecode contact form. Like this. I'm not gonna have any parameters, and below here I'm gonna have to use the add shortcode, add underscore shortcode, and here I'm gonna put the shortcode. So the shortcode is gonna be bytecode underscore contact underscore form. You can basically choose here anything you want. This is gonna be the shortcode, and then whenever we use this shortcode, this is the function. The next parameter is the function that's gonna be called whenever we display this shortcode somewhere on our website. This way, like this. Okay, so just to make sure everything works, I'm gonna put a return, and I will say form here. I will save it. I'll copy this one from here, go back to my page, and I'll add a shortcode, and here I will do like this: bum, update, go back to the contact page, and if I refresh, I'm gonna see form here. This text comes from my bytecode contact form function here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just to display the form, the HTML tags and all that stuff. So I'm gonna have a variable which is gonna be content, apostrophes here, and here's where I'm gonna add the form. So I'm gonna have a form action, and then this form is gonna have an ID, and the ID is gonna be I'll say contact form, and then I have a method, and the method is post. Close the form tag. Now I'm gonna have, so each field is gonna have a label, and it's also gonna have an error below the field whenever it needs to be filled out, or if somebody entered the wrong email or something like that. So I'm gonna have a separate div class for each of this, for each field. So I'm gonna have here div class like this. The div class is gonna be form group, and then here I'm gonna have label for, and I will say here contact name, close the label tag, and then here I will say name like this. Now we don't have to add space. And then below we will have our input text field. So we have input type text, and then name, contact name, and it's gonna have an ID for the label, and the ID is gonna be contact name. Make sure this where's that label, this for attribute matches with the field ID, because whenever you click on the label, it's gonna go, the cursor is gonna go to this field here. Okay, and then below here we will have a span class, and the class is gonna be error like this. So here we will output the errors, but I will do that whenever we will handle the submission. Okay, now here where the action is, we want to do the concatenation like this, and here I'm gonna add get underscore the underscore permalink like this. So what this is gonna do, it's gonna grab the permalink from the current page. So wherever we use this form, it doesn't matter what page it's gonna be on. For example, on the cards page, for example, I had just WooCommerce and I disabled it, so that's why it has it. But it's gonna be a card. Whenever we will click on that submit button, it's gonna go to the same page. So the form is gonna be submitted on the current page, on the same page. So let's go back to the contact here. Let's go back here. All right, we have this in place. This field is good. Let me just save it just to see that everything works fine. Okay, it doesn't because I didn't return it yet, so I'll have to return content. So back here, refresh. So we have this field here. There's the label, name, and the field. It doesn't look pretty though, but I'm gonna add styles and it's gonna look good. Okay, so we want to add another form group for email, one and one for message. Form group. This is gonna be contact. Okay, label for email. Okay, this is gonna be email. Type text here, name, email, ID, email, and we will have an error, of course. And then below here we will have for comments text, and we'll put here message, except here we will have it's gonna be a text area, so we have text area, name, comments, ID, comments text, comments text, rows we will have 5, columns 20, and I'm gonna close the text area attribute tag. Sorry about that, guys. And then we have this error span, which is fine. We'll leave it here. We will have another so we should have the submit button also, and we should also have 2 more hidden fields, actually 1 more hidden field for this step. Next step we will add more, but for here, for now, I'm gonna have input type, and this is gonna be hidden name submitted. I'm gonna use this field for the submission, and then I have ID submitted, value true. We'll close it like this, and then below here I'm gonna have the submit button. So I'm gonna have input type submit value send email like this, and I'm gonna leave it like this for now. So let me save it. I'm gonna go back and refresh the page. So I have a name, email, message, send email. Okay, but nothing happens here if I click on send email. It's just gonna refresh the page, but nothing else. Okay, so it's time for me to add some CSS styling here. So what I want to do here, I want to make this fields full width. So I will start with, because I have this contact form ID here, so I'm gonna grab it just to make sure I assign this style, this CSS styles just for this form. So I'm gonna have this contact form, and I'll have input, and then type text, and I'm gonna have again contact form, and for the text area, so I want to do this, and width 100%. So I'll save it. Now this is where this thing comes on, because your browser saved the CSS file sometimes. So if I made changes, I will change the version of the file, put here 1, and I will save it. Now if I go back and refresh, I'm gonna see this fields full width. But now I want to add some margin below each of these fields, so it doesn't look so cluttered. Alright, so I'm gonna go back, style CSS, and here I told you that I have a form group class for each of these fields, so I'm gonna grab this, and I will add margin bottom, and I'll put 15 pixel, and I'll save it. So I'll go back and refresh, and I will see I have a margin here, and everything looks prettier than before, which is nice. I like it. Now what I want to do is I want to start validating this data, the submission, and all this other stuff. Make sure I don't have any errors or anything, you know, like just to make sure people entered some data in these fields. So right here in the same function above this content variable, I'm going to have some if statements. So the first if statement is going to be just to make sure, that's just to check if there's any data in this field which is submitted. So I will have a if statement here. Can have if. So if is set post, and the field I'm checking here is this one, the submitted, the name of it. So I'll paste it here. So if this is true, that means somebody clicked on that submit button. Okay, so now I want to check each individual field. I want to check the data, because I want to make these fields, all of them, required. So I'm going to have another if statement here. I'm going to have if, let's see, if trim removes the spaces before and after the value, and then here I have post, and what I want to check here is the contact name. That's the field name for the name, which is this one, the name from here, contact name. So if this is true, oops, okay, is set, let me just add some space here so I don't get confused and I don't confuse you at the same time. Okay, trim post contact name. So if this is equal to nothing, then that means that there's an error. This field is empty. So I'm gonna have a variable which is gonna be name error, and I will assign here, please enter your name. And there's gonna be another variable which is gonna be has error, and I will assign true. Okay. Else I will have a name variable, and I will assign trim post, and here I'm gonna have contact name. So I'll assign this data to this variable, to the name variable. I'm gonna need this to send the email. Okay. Okay, and now I should do the same thing for the email. So I can just copy all this stuff from here, paste it here, and just change this name here to email. Email. This is gonna be email error. Please enter your email like this, or email address, error true. Else there's gonna be another if here, so because I want to make sure that this is a valid email. In order to do that, I can use the PHP prag match function with a rule. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna post it because it's a long rule, but let me see here. I have if, right? There's else if it's different than, so I have prag underscore match, all right? And the rule for the prag match is the following. It's like this. So you guys can just pause the video. Maybe you already know it, but this is a rule that's universal anywhere. You can use it. This is detecting if the email is valid or not. Alright, and then the second parameter is going to be trim. And we have here post and email. Okay, like this. So what we do here, we just assign okay, so if this is true, let me just get rid of this. If this is true, then we have the same thing we have here, except we will say please enter a valid email address. This is true, and then we have else, and here at else we just assign the email to the email variable. So we will have here trim, and we have post email like this. Alright, so we have the name and the email. There's the last one, the message. But what I want to do now is I want to grab this variable and paste it here just to make sure everything works. But before I do that, I need to validate these variables, because if I just paste them here, I'm gonna get an error in PHP. So bear with me. I'm gonna grab it just to show you. So if I paste it here, I need to concatenate, of course, like this. So if I save it and I go back to my page, if I refresh this page, I'm gonna get this notice undefined variable name error on the 46th line. So the 46th line is this one. So I usually validate them, just double validation for this variable. So I'm gonna have validating variables. So I'm gonna grab this variable, and I will reassign the value of this variable in the following way. I'm gonna check, there's gonna be an if statement. If is set name error, then I assign the name error, otherwise I assign nothing. Alright, so if I save it now here and I refresh it, everything works fine. So if I click send email, I'm gonna get this error here, please enter your name. Right, so the validation works for the name. Now I want to do the same thing for the email. So where's the email here? Let me just do the validation for the email first, and I have email. Okay, replace everything here, and I want to output the email error. So where is that error here? I'm gonna do a concatenation here, and I will paste email error. Right, so I go back, I refresh the page, undefined email error. Oh, okay, so I should do that for the email error, not for the email. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, let's go back now. Alright, everything works fine. Now if I click send email, I'm gonna get please enter your name, please enter your email address. Now look, bear with me, if I put an email here like this, and a crappy email like that. If I click send, this is gonna show me please enter a valid email, because it wants to be a valid email with a domain.com. You know, it needs to have something at, for example, at gmail.com or at Yahoo or at whatever.com. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's .com or not. It needs to be a domain. Okay, let me do the same thing for the comments. And for the comments, it's gonna be, let's see. Yeah, let me just grab, this is the basic one. Grab everything from the name. So I'm gonna do here is gonna be comments like this. Please enter your message. Error true. Yells, get rid of this. And here I'm gonna have an if statement, because I want to use the strip slashes. I want to remove the slashes and everything from this kind of like to filter the comments. So I'm gonna have another if statement, and I will check for the strip slashes function if it exists. So I'm gonna have function underscore exists, and the function is strip slashes like this. Alright, so if this function exists, then I will assign to the comments variable, I will assign the strip slashes function with a parameter which is going to be trim. It's another function which is gonna, as already said, removes the space before and after the value. And then here I'm gonna have $ post, and I'm gonna have comments. Just make sure this comments is the name of the field that they match. See the name comments here. Okay, semicolon. But if this function doesn't exist, yells, I'm gonna do the same thing except the strip slashes. So remove the strip slashes from here, like this. Alright, and I'm gonna do the validation for this as well. So here I'm gonna have the comments. I forgot to update this. It needs to be comments error. Comment error has errors. Okay, comment error. Okay, so I'm gonna update this comment error, and whatever is this error here, I'm gonna do concatenation. I'll leave this comment error here, make sure it's a variable. I will save it. So if I go back now, refresh this page, click send email, I'm gonna get these errors for each of this field. Now if I enter something here, something good, submit, I don't have a confirmation, but I don't have any errors either, so everything works fine until now. Okay, I have this form. Okay, these fields are in place. So what I want to do now is I want to integrate the reCAPTCHA version 3 with this form. Right, in order for me to do that, because we have the validation, everything is fine. So in order for me to do that, I should go to google.com/reCAPTCHA, and I'm going to v3 admin console, click there, choose my project, which is Vicode Media. If you don't have a project yet, you can click on this plus button here, which is create. I'm using localhost, so you can choose here a label. You can write everything, anything here, and then pick version 3. Under your domains, if you're using a localhost like me, you just type in localhost and press enter. Okay, I'm not gonna do it because I already have it. Accept the reCAPTCHA terms of service, just check that and uncheck this send alerts to owners, because you don't, I mean, if you want to, you can just leave it, but I usually uncheck it. Okay, so you have all this in place. Gonna go back here. You click save, and that's gonna show you site key like this. If I click here, it's gonna show you a site key and a secret key. So you want to have this, just keep it open now here, because this is where we will use right here. So I'm gonna leave a comment here. I'll just say reCAPTCHA v3, and I will have two defined variables. I'm gonna define them here. So I'll have define, and I'm gonna have site underscore key, capital letter, and I'm gonna have the secret key. Okay, so I'm gonna grab them from here, copy the site key, I will paste the site key here, and the secret key, and I will paste it here. And now in the submitted here, I'm gonna add a okay, I have this. So this is how this works. This reCAPTCHA works. We should have a hidden field, so I'm gonna add another hidden field here. And basically, whenever somebody will access this form, this page, I'm gonna have a JavaScript code which is gonna call Google using the site key and the secret key, and Google is gonna return a session to our website, and I will insert that session in that hidden field of the form, and then I will just submit the form, and I will send that session to Google, and then Google will detect if it's a robot or not, if it's a if it's spam or not. Okay, so I'm gonna have an input type. This is gonna be hidden. It's gonna be hidden Victor. And what else? I will need an ID because I'm gonna insert data with JavaScript, so I definitely need an ID, and the ID is gonna be g-reCAPTCHA -response, and I will have a name, and the name is gonna be the same thing I have here actually, like this, and I will close this field. Now below my form I'm gonna have a script, and in this script I'm gonna use the, let's see, there's an object that comes from Google, so in order for me to call this object I should first import no I'm just trying to think how to make it easier for you guys, but if you go to reCAPTCHA version 3 documentation, we click here documentation, and they have this, where is it, button class, they have this documentation here where they explain how to insert, you see, action, submit. A little bit what I'm doing now is a little bit different. I a little bit customized it. This is more for JavaScript, but I'm using PHP. So as already said, I need a script which is gonna insert a code here in this response, in this hidden field. So I'm gonna use reCAPTCHA.ready. I'm gonna have a function like this, and okay, like this. Oops. Alright, and then here I'm gonna have another reCAPTCHA, which means Google reCAPTCHA, and then execute. Alright, and then here I'm gonna have the site key. So I'm gonna have this concatenation. So I'm gonna have site key, and then here I'm gonna have curly brackets. I will have action, and the action is gonna be homepage. There are different actions on Google documentation. You can check that out too if you want. There's also, and then I'm gonna have another function, and it's gonna grab the token. Okay, and here I'm gonna have let's do a console log, and I want to log the token. Okay, like this. Console log. Okay, I'm missing something here. It just needs to be like this. Okay, so this is not gonna work now because I need to call this Google server. So in order for me to call it, I should do it right here in the submit, under the submit. So I'm gonna have a variable which is gonna be response, and I will check file get contents. I will use file underscore get underscore contents. Alright, and here I'm gonna have the Google URL. So I'm just gonna grab it just to make sure. Ooh, let me spell it. I'm gonna explain what I have here. Just bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. Alright, so what do I do here is get file contents. This is the URL we were supposed to call whenever using Google reCAPTCHA, which is google.com/reCAPTCHA/API/site verify secret, and then we assign the secret key to this secret get variable, and then response, which is the data from our post get response reCAPTCHA. Let me just do this. Just remove the apostrophes and leave like that. Oh no, that's never mind. It doesn't matter. But let me see if I don't have any errors. So I'll save it. And of course, on the 26th, unexpected form 26. Okay. It's because I forgot the semicolons. Let's see if this is the problem. Yeah, so it works. Now let me see on the console. Is not defined. reCAPTCHA is not defined. So there is something going on here. And that's because I didn't call the library. Okay, we send this data whenever we click on submit button, but we should also call this library because that's why it's showing this error. It can't find this object because we didn't import the library, the Google library. So in order for us to import the Google library, above the form we will have a script source, and the source is going to be let me see, I'm just gonna copy and paste it, guys, just for the sake of time. Okay, so the URL is https www.google.com/reCAPTCHA/api.js render, and then we assign to the render the site key. Okay, so if I save it now and go back here and refresh the page, I'm gonna get this in the console. This is the session we get from Google, and now this session needs to be inserted in our hidden field. So if I inspect this form and I'm going to the hidden field, which is reCAPTCHA response, I want to insert this data here in this field, and whenever I click on the send email, all this data is going to be sent to this URL, which Google is going to check it. So if you see here, we send this response, and so we have this return here. We assign to the return. I don't know. Make sure you have this line here because I paused the video and I was digging into it, and I think this is the only thing that's missing right now. So make sure you add this return JSON decode response here, like this. Okay, and let's see. So we have that. So now if we go back down here, so as I already said, guys, make sure you add this line here. I didn't show you how I add it. Whenever I add it, I had to add it, but you should add it here. We don't use this return yet, but we will in a second. Now let me just inject this data into our field. So in order for me to do that, I'm gonna type in here. I'm just gonna comment this like this, and then here I will have document dot get element by ID, and then here I'm gonna have the ID of this field, which is G reCAPTCHA response. I will paste it here like this, and then dot value, and I assign the token. So I get a token, I assign it to the value of this field. Now if I save it, go back just to make sure it works. So if I inspect it here, form, and then we get this input type hidden field, and we get this value here in this field, which is awesome. Everything works fine. So now having this data here, whenever we click on the send email, all goes to Google. Now whenever Google gets a response, it assigns a response to the response variable, and then we decode it using the JSON decode, and we assign everything to the return variable. Now using this return variable, I can check the score we get from Google. So in order for us to check this score, we will have an if statement. So we'll have if return response success equals true, and the return function score greater than 0.5. Then, so let me make sure one more time, response, okay, if, no, this needs to be returned, we don't play with the response, return. So if return success is true and the return score is greater than 0.5, then we have has error, and we assign false. Else we have a Google error, and we assign here reCAPTCHA error like this, and then here has error true, has error is true. Now let's grab this Google error, let's validate it here like this, and then I'm gonna copy this span class error, and I will add it before the send email button, which is the input button. But actually I'm gonna also add this form group div class like this. So if I okay, so make sure this is Google error. So if I save it now, go back to the form, refresh the page, everything works fine, click send email, we get these errors here. So if I refresh it one more time just to send double session, I'm gonna get this errors here, and also reCAPTCHA error, because we sent an old session to Google and Google didn't like that. Okay, so this everything works fine now until here. What we want to do now is we want to send the email. If everything is fine, we want to send this email to our to the admin email. So in order for us to do that, we will have another if statement here. So right below our else, this else here, we will have another if, and we will check if is different than is set, and the variable is has error. Then we will have a variable email to, and this is going to be the admin email. So I'm just going to put info bycodemedia.com. We have a subject, and the subject is going to be I don't know, let's just say contact form from, and let's concatenate, and let's say here name, which is going to be the username, the name they will insert in this field. Yeah, so we grab it here. Okay, and then the body, email body, here we will say name, and we will have name like this, and email, and we will have email, and then we have and then comments, and then we will have comments like this. Okay, and then below here we will have the headers, and here we have from, and let's do like this, from, and we concatenate and we put name, and then like this, and concatenate again, and we have email to, okay, email to, concatenate again, okay, maybe something is wrong here. So we have from dot name dot, okay, I missed an apostrophe here, space, we have this, okay, and then here like this, and then we have /r /n, and concatenate again, and then we have replay to space apostrophe dot email. Voila! Finally! Ta-dum, ta-dum! Okay, and then we will use the WordPress mails, which is wp_mail, and we will send this email with this function. So we'll have email to, and then we have subject, body, and the headers like this. And then below here we'll have another if statement, so we will have if it's different than has error, we will have a variable which is going to be submitted success, and here we will assign thank you for contacting us. And we will have to validate this variable as well here. So we'll put this, this, and this, and we'll concatenate it, so we'll add it right here. Something like this. Okay, so if I save it now, go back here, refresh the page. Oops, not like this. Refresh the page. You probably saw this badge here, but now if I click send email, we're gonna get this error. But if I enter this data here now in the message, click send email, everything's gonna work fine. I'm gonna have thank you for contacting us. Unfortunately guys, I can't send emails from my local host, but I'm pretty sure this works. So if it doesn't, if you don't receive any emails, just look into this stuff here. Maybe you misspelled, or maybe I misspelled something, but it looks good. It looks the way it should go. So So I think everything is fine here. Alright, I think that's it for this video, guys. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for my channel. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.